We are Steve and Jill.
Together, we've been buying and reselling land since the 90s.
Our data-centric approach leaves our buyers asking, how can you sell it so cheap?
Here on the Land Academy Show,
We answer that and more. I'm Steve and Jack Butala.
And I'm Jill DeWit, and this is the Land Academy Show.
This is episode number 2070. And today we are talking about the 5 talents needed to create wealth in your land investment business, and I would argue maybe any business. It's all week this week. We're talking about the secret recipe for success in land investing, and really in all businesses. It's not, I don't think, so much of a secret for us, but people seem to get a real big kick out of this when we talk about it, and it seems to help them.
Kick out of creating wealth, or what we do,
just
or
success. You know, there's today. A lot of times we spend the entire week talking about the mechanics of buying and selling land,
right?
How to price a mailer, how to answer the phone, and all that stuff. This week we're really talking about what's behind that. You know, that's the big picture. Is
before you even get to that point, you gotta decide this is for you.
Or you're gonna only answer the phone for a certain amount of time before, if you're not into it and really don't believe in it and yourself and believe in buying and selling land. You're only going to do that for so long, and you're going to say, you know what, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. It would be better if you could figure that stuff out early on, go through a few steps, and spend a couple of weeks doing research and find out research about who you are to save yourself a lot of time. You might be better owning an oil change shop, which is great, or a chain of them. I don't know. That's exactly what we're talking about. So, each day on the show, we answer a question from our Land Academy member Discord forum and take a deep dive into land-related topics by popular requests.
Okay. So, Chase wrote, I've just listened to a podcast. What is everyone's opinion on cold calling to find land deals? Or do you think direct mail is more effective? Before we answer, I'm going to read one of our members' responses. His name is Greg, and he wrote, I've got a realtor friend who uses a dialer that dials a list of numbers for him. He says it dials 3 to 4 numbers at a time and then connects them when one of them when they pick up. If more than one picks up, the dialer automatically plays a pre-recorded message of my friend saying, hello, hello, hello. That's hilarious. And then disconnects and auto dials them back once he's off the other line. That's hilarious. I found this quite amusing.
Amusing is a word for it.
Uh-huh.
I would use a different word.
That's hilarious. He says he pays $200 to $300 a month for such a service, and he enjoys it. Good way to sharpen your phone skills, I guess, but I bet you can send more mail in an hour than he calls a year with such a system. He only does local areas. Maybe it's a good time for him to spread out his efforts over the year. You know what the thing about this is? May I go first?
Oh, please.
Okay.
While I cool off, yes.
Yeah. You know, my whole point here is when you're cold calling people, I mean, it just seems like such a waste of time. It's kind of like driving for dollars. I haven't heard that phrase in a while, but, you know, you're driving around, knocking on doors, seeing if anybody wants to sell. That used to be a big thing. I think it was a pre-COVID, and I think post-COVID people are like, you know, A, they live further away or whatever, and B, they're not answering their door as freely as they used to. So, and you're just kind of, and then you're hoping somebody wants to sell, and then you're talking them into it. You know, this could be a 3 or 6 month process. So I look at it this way too with land. Like, if you'd be lucky if you had 5 conversations a day. Very, very lucky this way. And that's probably sitting and spending 8 hours at it a day. So that's a whole lot of time to hopefully maybe find someone, and then you don't even know what you're getting into. Is it on your terms? You know, that's a whole nother thing versus the way we do it. You want to explain that a little bit? I'm sure you're thinking the same thing.
I think that this person has some version of mental illness. Can you imagine you, listener, yourself, setting this up, and then you wake up in the morning and you are the annoyance of 2 to 200 people that day, let's say. And let's say it all goes right. You annoy that many people verbally. I can't imagine the backlash on this. To maybe get one listing a month.
Yeah.
And then who's going to respond to that anyway? What personality type is going to respond to that and verbally say, you know what? Yeah, I would love to have you list my house. Mm-hmm. Or, yeah, I'm looking for a new house, or whatever it ends up being. This is terrible.
You know, the thing is, too, there's so many different scams and things, too, that I think people are so much more leery of stuff like this. I don't answer phone numbers I don't know. If they leave you a message, that's the only way you're going to get me. If I don't know your phone number, I'm not answering. So leave a message, send me an email, do something else. And then okay. Then I'll reply, whatever.
Last two mailers that we've done very recently have been neutral, no priced mailers. And it says we are very interested in purchasing a house or a piece of land where whoever we're sending it to.
Yeah.
In a very small local area, less than 1,000 units we send out. And we're not sure what your circumstance is, but if you've been thinking about selling, call us. We'd like to talk about it. And then they do call back unangry, almost all of them. And then Jill talks to them, and they have a real conversation about value, when it will close, how the property is going to be used, and we have a lot of success with that. And so
that's a better way to do the same thing. Let them call you.
Yeah.
Blast them, and sit back and wait for your phone to ring.
Yeah, they can.
And
they
work
can
on
choose.
something else.
You get a letter, and receiving that letter with a price in it annoys a very small percentage of people. If you send out 1,000 letters, you might get 3 to 5 really angry phone calls back. But you're also going to get 3 to 5 phone calls back of people that are like, you know what,
Let's go.
Let's talk. Let's either I'll be happy to sell it, or let's just talk about the price. But I do want to sell it.
Right.
So this is just, you have to have something wrong with you.
I know. I just think people think, you know what it is? I think people think that there needs to be a new, better way. And I agree with that. But I don't think this is it. We're testing some things on our own.
I come back to what's wrong with a person who wants to annoy people. Well, who's sitting down and doing something to annoy people, like tailgating.
I'm just thinking it's just such a huge effort. I don't think it's a good use of anyone's time. Even if you pay a VA to do this, great. Now you got a VA gets a live body on the phone, but they're not going to convert them. So then that was a waste too.
Yep. Today's topic: 5 talents you need to create wealth in your land investment business, or really any business. And I'll preface it by saying this. We're going to go over my 5. Jill's probably got some too.
I have to think about it.
But I will tell you, they are 5 very different talents. And so before I run down the list, you are really good at one of these things, as am I, as Jill is. And I think different people have different talents for different reasons, which is great. If we were all the same, it would never work. And so, for example, I always have been a startup person. I have a vision or an idea. I will go through some version of torture to get it so it's cash flowing and in working okay, and I will turn it over to an operations person. The 5 talents are this. You need to have an amazing idea. We've all known people, especially when we were younger and we all didn't know what we were going to do for a living, or prior to getting a career or going into whatever we're into professionally. And met some dingbat who says he's an inventor. Oh, I'm an inventor. And so it's not so much dingbatish as I get older. Having that vision and those ideas is the way things starts. That personality type, it's dingbatish because that personality type has almost never has any follow through. They have an idea, like my cousin Kate was all excited for 2 years about this thing that he created out of stuff in the kitchen and in the garage that was a spring release, time release scenario where it would release peanut butter for a dog to lick slowly. And he gotten patents on it and the whole thing. I don't think I've ever told you this.
No, that's funny.
And nothing ever happened because he doesn't know anything about marketing and doesn't care and would never put up a website or anything like that, because in his head, he believed that the device was so amazing that someone was going to knock on his front door and say we should put this in PetSmart. So that vision is an imperative part of this, but without any follow-up or startup, it's just not that valuable. So here's my 5. Vision or ideas. Number 2 is startup, which is where I really fall in. Operations, which is after it's all done, started up, we've got a bunch of revenue coming in, maybe some expenses are out of whack, but a bunch of stuff needs to happen, like staffing, and all the tech now that it's associated with, and maybe sales, increasing sales, all that operation stuff, can't stand it. For both Jill and I, we are not operations people. We go into certain things standing up and saying, we are not operations people. I think the vast majority of business people think all this is one thing. Oh, he's a business person, so he must know all this stuff. No. Ask any carpenter if they can help you. You're a carpenter. Please help me with wiring my house. They're going to say, I'm a carpenter. I'm not an electrician. It's like that. After operations, you need a financial institutionalization type personality. And I'm actually okay at that. It's the operations piece that I can't do. So we've all heard of CFOs or people. There's always a guy on or a person is sitting there saying, that's fantastic and we should start this new product line. But be aware that here's the result, the financial result of what you're about to do. Like, the party pooper. Like, this is going to cost too much. And you guys are nuts. And the visionary, who's probably still involved, says, I don't care. I'm an artist. I don't care about the money. I never did. And then finally, exit. And if you have an exit type personality, and I also do, you want to know how you're going to get out of something long before you get into it, which is what buying and selling land is.
You want me to do my list now?
I would love to. Oh, you have a list. Good.
I just did that while you were talking. I had some time. So I created my little list. Okay, so this is my quick little brainstormy. I have a few things that are the same and a few things that I want to throw in there. So these are the 5 talents needed to create wealth in your land investment business. Totally agree with number 1. You have to have a vision or a plan or something like, I've tested it. I know this is going to work. This is what we're doing. Number 2, you have to be fearless. You have to have that nothing is going to stop me attitude out of my way. I don't care how many credit card companies I have to go through till I find one that'll process payments for my fill in the blank, whatever I'm doing. I just won't stop. I believe in it that much. I am out of my way fearless. Number 3, communication. You need to be able to get your point across. You have to be able to tell nowhere in here am I talking about having money, by the way. You're creating wealth. I'm assuming you don't have $1. So you need to be able to communicate this to the planet to get money, to follow through with your vision and your plan. So that's why Kate brought that number 3. Number 4, you need to have sales, acquisition skills. You need to always be bringing in people and excitement and employees and deals, whatever it is that you're doing, that's got to be really strong. And then number 5, I like the same as yours, which is like operations to create this business. Then you need maybe it's not you, it's probably not you. You need somebody, because you're usually the startup guy, you're the front end guy. Yeah. You need somebody else with you on your team to smooth it all out and keep all it running smoothly while you're working on the next thing.
Look, the likelihood of this happening, or the speed and how fast this can all happen, is directly associated with your personality. And so if we've all been to high school, and there's always a couple of people that just have this dynamic personality. I don't mean the bullies. I don't mean jocks or mean girls. Those are all implementations for people who are seeking out negative attention. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about some good-looking people that everybody wanted to be around. They didn't necessarily have good grades. They weren't really well dressed or any of that stuff. They weren't trying hard. So the world's packed full of people like that, and I hope you are some version of one of those. But it doesn't have to be. Look at Bill Gates. He was one of the most wealthy people in the world by the time he was 19. The guy's got no personality whatsoever. So it doesn't have to be. I'm just saying, for what we're trying to do, which is create 10, 20, $30 million worth of wealth or more, or maybe a year in some cases, it's easier. Jill's got one of the most dynamic personalities on the phone I've ever heard in my life. And believe me, I'm qualified to say that, especially now because we live in an RV.
Thanks.
Those are the steps.
Yep.
Don't beat yourself up if you're only good at one. If you're an operations person, please call us. We can never find operations people.
Yeah, it's true.
We have 19 startup ideas. Some of them are already in in moving forward, and we can't find any operations person that can pick it up where we're going to leave it off. Join us tomorrow on Wednesday, where we're going to discuss real life examples of creating this wealth that we're talking about in your land investment business. You are not alone in your real estate ambition.
We are Jack and Jill.
Information
And inspiration
to buy undervalued property.
We hope you found our content valuable and we appreciate your support. If you have not already, please check out our channel and hit the subscribe button.
And your comments and suggestions help us to create the content you're here for. Hitting the like button helps to support our channel's algorithm and gauge your interest for future shows.